Hey, it's Jonathan. The question is, where can I get a website for cheap? So, to answer your question, predominantly or typically, there's two ways to go about getting a website. One is you could go register a domain name such as mylawncare.company.com, and very often these registrars, the registration companies such as GoDaddy's or Dotster or Network Solutions, whoever it is you might use, they'll upsell you some form of a website where you can build a website template. Then there's Intuit. They have a Intuit who owns QuickBooks. They now, years ago, they acquired a company that will let you build template-based websites. Uh, Yahoo, Google, I think some of these guys will let you build these template-based websites. And I use template because you get to go through and kind of pick a generic look, and it looks like you bought a website. Then the alternative option is to spend some cash and get a designer to design you up a website and have them design it, design the graphics, buy some images, lay it out, and then what we say is you cut it up. Basically, you cut it up into pieces and you build the website itself. You cut up those images and you build the website. So you get a designer involved, and that costs some money. And then if you want a website that is going to have estimate request forms where your clients can request an estimate, a contact form, maybe an autoresponder form so you can collect the names and email addresses of prospects so you can keep marketing to them so that you sell them down the road. If you want to have a client management system where your clients can log in and pay their bills and see their invoices and all that. If you want to have so many other things that you can do with the website, then you need to get a programmer involved. That's yet again more money. And then that's continued cost of development in terms of its continued cost to have them keep it updated and enhance it. Then also with the website, if you want to get into being able to maintain it yourself, then it's got to be set up so that you can log in and you can manage that website. So those are there's two options. There's the template style website that I covered first, and then there's the site where, or the type where you hire a designer programmer to build you a website. You go out and you find your own hosting company, and that could cost you anywhere from $10 to $25 a month, and you take that website and you put it on that hosting company's servers so that all of your clients, prospects can get to that website. Generally, the template-based websites, the hosting is done by the company that gave you the template. They just handle all that for you. Now, the pros and cons. I don't like template-based websites, at least not what's generally available. They look like you got a free website, or they look like everybody else's website. They don't look good, and they don't look unique. You don't look very professional. And I'm not saying it has to be a super fancy, full of graphics website. I'm not saying any of that, but those template-based websites are generally, if you pay $25 a month, or well, $25 a month is actually, if you pay $5 a month or $10 a month to have a website, and you get $5 or $10 worth of quality. I mean, usually to have a website on a good hosting service that's actually going to be available, it's not uncommon to pay $15 to $25 a month. That's just to have the thing hosted. That's just one website hosted on a server. And a company that's actually going to be stable and reliable and that you can get customer service from. So the template-based websites, you a lot of times can get these things for $5, $10 a month, and they host it and everything. I mean, you can pretty much, know what you're getting there, and they don't look good. And so I don't think they're professional enough. They're not flexible enough. They don't have any of those forms to gather estimates or do an autoresponder or any of these other subjects that you may or may not be familiar with. I just don't like them. I don't use them in my business. Simply because if I'm going to spend the money, lots of money to do marketing, if I'm going to potentially paint my trucks, if I'm going to put my guys in shirts, if I'm going to try to be really good at from a customer service standpoint so that my clients will refer me, if I'm actually going to spend the money to actually answer my phone live, if I'm going to spend the money to hire good employees, if I'm going to buy good equipment and good trucks and keep things clean, be very professional, if I'm going to do all of that, I am not going to be cheap and try to have a lousy computer system or save a couple bucks on a computer or a lousy website. I'm just not going to do it. It makes no sense. You spend all this money to market and bring in leads, and then you direct them to a website that looks like you are a startup or looks like, that you bought the thing for $5. That's the problem I have with them. I really believe that perception is, you've got to set the right perception with your clients. When they look at your stuff, you want to carry a consistent image. You have clean trucks. Your guys are wearing at least they're all wearing the same shirt. They're not wearing Metallica shirts and shirts that, say beer on the back of them. They're all wearing at least a one colored shirt with your logo on it. You're answering your phones. You're polite. You're friendly. You're building an image there. Website is the first thing most people see. That's one of the very first things. So why would you let that image, why would that image not be consistent with everything else you're doing? So spend the money on your website. This year we sold over 600 new clients just through our website. So website's massively important if you do it right. Usually too, with these template websites, you have no control over handling the SEO optimization, which is to get your site, your website, moved up the ranks. So when somebody types in lawn care Tampa, Florida, that you come up near the top. So you've got to have some control over your website and be able to do that stuff. That's why I prefer, and I've always used, websites where we had somebody build them, and then we got our own hosting service, and we were in total control of those things. I could spend thousands putting out door hangers, and I'm going to spend the same amount of money building that website. It's really that valuable. The websites are replacing Yellow Pages. They are one of the key. They should be your key strategy in growing your company starting now. They should be one of the biggest things you do in your business, the website. So don't cut corners on that. That'd be my advice. So I went off question a bit because you asked where can you get some free websites. But I told you initially, if you register your domain at GoDaddy, you can get one there. If Google, Yahoo, you can get some cheap websites. So maybe you want to start out there, but I'd encourage you to get away from that stuff as fast as you can. Also, side note, when you register your domain name, if you go through an Intuit, if you go through a Google and you let them register it, your domain name could potentially be registered by their company and owned or held by their company, where when you leave them, makes it very hard for you to get your company's domain name. Again, another reason I'm kind of opposed to that stuff. You need to have total control. So if you go to GoDaddy, register your domain name, you need to own that name. It needs to be in your company name, and then you point it to that template. Often, a lot of times, templates won't let you use your own custom domain name, such as mycompany.com. But again, stress, if you're going to do this, go to GoDaddy, register mycompany or mylawcarecompany.com, and then you have to change what's called the, I won't even go there, but you've got to change two settings, and you've got to point them to the company that's hosting your website, so that way you remain in control of this .com domain name. You're pointing it to this template-based website you create. Don't let the company that has the software that lets you do the templates, don't let them own your domain name or even have registered it for you, where it's under their company name and you've got to battle with them to get it transferred to you someday if you want to leave them. That's the way they lock you up. So those are the two options. The third option that has never existed before is obviously to work with us, because we have websites that are far more than these template-based websites, and these that are completely custom to you, that are far cheaper than this option I described over here of using a developer and a programmer. Our websites do everything that I think is important. You own your domain name. It's in your name. You simply point it at us. We have the website. You can fully manage it 100%. You could hop in tomorrow and you could change your offer and your headline, whatever you want on this website. You could go right through Service Autopilot and completely update your website. All the programming that you would need, such as having estimate forms, autoresponders, letting your clients manage your system, it's done. You don't have to do any of it. You could change the images, the color. You could change anything on your website on the fly anytime. You could have 5 websites or 10 websites. So we have an option that is kind of in the middle ground between these two. It's actually it's even more flexible than hiring somebody, because it's so much cheaper. So much cheaper than having somebody go out and pay somebody to do this for you. So that's the third option that I've barely covered, but that's really all the options available. So if you want to start out just really cheap, where we're talking $10 a month, you can go look at some of these template-based websites again. Yahoo, Google, Dotster, GoDaddy, Homestead. Go look at some of those. You can get some really cheap websites. Just don't let them have your domain name. Thanks.